Um, so, give me a little bit of background. How'd you land up going through the Keller school system?
Well, both my parents are teachers. So my mom, while I was growing up, she worked in Fort Worth ISD, and so did my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But we lived in Keller. And then when I was in 7th grade, my dad got a job in Timber Creek, actually. So I was in the Central High School theater pattern.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then I, transferred to Timber Creek, just to the same school as him. And, he's a coach. And so I played football. And, that was one of the reasons, because, I wanted to, play football under my dad, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So me and my brother both did that. We didn't move into the Timber Creek zoning area either. We stayed over there by Central.
I gotcha.
And so my brother's currently in high school right now at Timber Creek. And then my mom actually works there too. She just got a job. This is her first year.
Oh, wow. So she moved from Fort Worth?
She moved from Fort Worth to Keller. So she loves it over there too. They both said that, Keller is just like leaps and bounds differently, like just run differently, and the kids are different than Fort Worth, and it's just like, I don't know. I think that's cool that they both work here. But anyway, that's how I kind of ended up there, I guess.
Yeah. Sort of like that two difference when you said leaps and bounds. Different in what way? If you don't.
Well, Fort Worth, is like, large, like huge compared to Keller, I guess.
Yeah.
There's, over twice as many high schools. There's, tons more, like, land area they have to cover, and a bunch of more kids. And, I guess, my mom would always say that, because she worked, as a testing coordinator in Fort Worth, so she wasn't, she stopped teaching for a while, but she's teaching now in Keller. So she got to experience kind of more of the administration,
I see.
things. And I guess she just kind of felt like things were a little bit more bureaucratic over there in Fort Worth, just because it's so large and a lot more money involved and things like that. So in Canada, I feel this way too. Like, I've had a lot of teachers and a lot of the administrators always feel like they try to put the kids first. So that's something that I always enjoyed, because I.
Do you have a story that might have stuck with you, like as an example where maybe you saw a teacher put a student first, or maybe someone put you first over, like a bureaucratic system or whatever?
Yeah. So when I was a junior, I tore my ACL from football. And so I had it was like right at the end of like the semester, I think, of the first semester. So like, a lot of exams and stuff are right around that time. And, several of my teachers, were able to work with me to be able to like, because of my surgery, so I missed like 2 weeks of school, right at the end. So like a lot of them were just, really, making sure that, they put my health first before, some test that I had to take or something.
Yeah.
So, they were able to reschedule everything for me, and, that was a lot of help for a pretty stressful time in my life.
Yeah, that's really neat. Thanks for sharing that. Going back to something you said a little bit earlier, you talked about the opportunity to play football under your dad. I didn't want to assume anything, but I just was kind of thinking, it's required to go to school, so that could be a lot of people's like motivation, is I don't want to get like caught by the truancy officer. But I was curious as to kind of what was your motivation to get out of bed and go to school? Was it the kind of the group the tight-knit group that you had there in athletics, or what else was there that kind of kept you motivated?
I loved going to school, I had no problem waking up in the morning every day, wake up at 6 a.m., go to practice.
Wow.
I had a lot of good friends, just from playing football, and I liked the learning environments that we had. I wanted to, work hard to be able to set myself up good for the future and be able to go to college and things. And so that, that is something. I'm in college right now, so that's a goal that I achieved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that feels good. And, I don't know. I guess I wanted to just make sure I did my best at everything I was involved in. So making sure I showed up to school every day that I could, was something that I guess needed to do to be the best that I could have been.
Yeah, that makes sense. Since you've been in the area a little while, I was kind of curious, at your time spent in the Keller, let's say, if you're trying to explain it from one of your buddies in college, if you're trying to give them the inside scoop, what are you going to see that you don't necessarily see on a website or in a pamphlet, that's actually true, that's pretty true about the Keller area? How would you usually describe that? What's the inside scoop?
I would say one of the things that would be surprising to most people is how close a lot of the people are from, different high schools, I guess. Because we have 4 high schools, and it's a pretty large area, but, I knew plenty of kids from, Fossil Ridge, plenty of kids from Central, plenty of kids from Keller, and, I feel like you don't get that a lot in, larger districts or something like that.
Could I ask?
It was.
I was going to say, could I ask how you got to know kids from the other schools?
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
I guess I grew up a lot with a lot of them just from playing youth sports, because it was a pretty conglomeration of the whole Keller area, and so I had grown up with kids since I was younger, and then since I moved too, that was a big one, and then a lot of times people move in Keller just to go to a different. They move within Keller, so then some of my friends would move.
Wow.
But I think the biggest one would definitely be the youth sports. I think the Keller Youth Sports Association, the KLA, is a really, really good thing for the Keller area. And I got to know a lot of kids from just doing that, and just from one sport too. So a lot of kids that played football, baseball, and basketball got to know a lot more kids than I did.
So that's kind of the great equalizer, is the sports program kind of brings everyone together.
Yeah, I would say it was a pretty good community amongst, the kids.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Are there any misconceptions about the Keller area? Things that people might say or assume, but they're kind of farther from the truth?
Yeah, maybe, I have a lot of family that lives in Fort Worth, and, they always talk about how, we got a rich area, I guess. And, I don't really feel like I grew up with a lot of money, both my parents are teachers, so they don't, they never really made too much money when, compared to some other people that, I don't know, I guess, but, I guess that is a big one, I guess, just Keller being, an area that's a wealthy area.
Yeah.
It's pretty well balanced in my mind. It's not just, on either side of the spectrum.
Okay. So you got to hang out with people that weren't all totally from wealthy backgrounds. That's
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, there's a good mix.
Obviously, I knew a couple of people, but for the most part, it was pretty well balanced.
Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. And you said that was just from some of your friends in the Fort Worth area, their perception on the Keller area? Or people from Fort Worth?
Yeah, I mean, my family is from Fort Worth area, so my cousins and stuff.
I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any hidden gems? Maybe now that you've been able to talk to people that have gone to other high schools, have you found something that was a little bit unique that Keller was able to do that maybe not other kids got the opportunity to do?
Well, I like how Keller does the intermediate school thing, where they separate, the 5th and 6th graders from the 7th and 8th graders.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of other schools don't do. They usually just do the, normal 6th, 7th, and 8th middle school grade, and then 5th grade is still in elementary school, I think. But from what I noticed, I feel like 5th grade is just way too old for kids being in elementary school, and then 6th grade is too young for being in middle school.
I see.
So